Hello and welcome to today's session on Python introduction. So today's agenda is to understand what is programming language, then why we are going to learn Python, and then we will look into Python versus a few other languages like R, then features of Python, then we'll look into the ecosystem behind Python, then we'll understand the different ways using which we can install Python. Now to start off with programming. So, what is a programming language? Now, language is a medium through which we can communicate with one another. Like we already know, okay, we can communicate with humans using a language. So, we use a language in day-to-day basis to communicate with humans. Similarly, to communicate with machines or electronic devices, we have a language which we call it as programming language. So, it is just a medium to communicate with electronic devices. You can also say that it is a way to instruct the computers. The computer is an electronic device here. So it is a way to instruct the computer to perform various tasks. So using a programming language, we can communicate with computer and we can instruct computers to perform tasks. So here, if you look at the levels of programming languages, there are basically like three levels here. One is machine level language, the other one is assembly level language, and then we have high level language. So you can also break it down to saying low level languages or high level languages. You can also break it down to low level languages or high level language. So machine language and assembly language are actually low level programming languages. So this machine level language is nothing but it's actually binary. Okay, it's just a binary value like 0 or 1. Okay, it is just 0 and 1. So now with hardware, the machine level language is responsible to communicate with the hardware. So it is one of the most basic low level language. The language was first developed to interact with the first generation computer. Okay, so it is written in binary code, or you can also call it as machine code, which is basically nothing but 0 and 1. So any electronic device you see, like any electronic device you come across, so they can only understand 0 and 1. So this is like suppose I want to communicate a with computer, like I want to communicate alpha character as a, then the binary behind it is somewhat like 10000001. Okay, like this. So this is what computer understands. Okay, it can only understand this one, that is 0 and 1. So why is it so? The reason is because any electronic device is operated using electrical signals, electricity, and within that, those signals are nothing but some analog signals will be there, and those analog signals will be converted to digitized format. Okay, those analog signal we converted to digital signals, where higher voltage means 1, a lower voltage means 0. So this is the way through which any circuit or any electronic computing device communicates. Okay, so this is the language which is called as machine level language, so communicating directly with the hardware. And the way we communicate is by using these binary values, that is 0 and 1. So now to communicate with computer using 0 and 1 is not that easy. So we saw just to write a, we have to write so many zeros and ones. So remembering everything and just communicating like words is very tough here. So that's where like few of the researchers thought that, okay, why not to have something which is human readable, okay, which is human readable. So that's where came up assembly level language. So assembly level language is still a low level language, but it is a development on the machine level, where instead of using only numbers, we can use english words, we can use names, we can use symbol. So this is the most basic computer language necessary for any processor. So this is a language which is created on top of machine level language, so that is called as assembly level language. So it's kind of a wrapper on top of machine level language. So rather than writing zeros and one, we can just write some words, some names, okay, some symbols we can use, okay, to communicate. So that is your assembly level. And assembly level was also much more scientific, like to communicate with computers using this assembly level language. Also, you need to learn a lot of concepts and a lot of mathematical mathematical equation and terminologies, okay, will be there within this assembly level language. So that's why a lot of researchers didn't find it to be that easier. And when personal computing era came up, okay, like people started using computers at home, so that time like everyone thought, okay, why not to have a language which is similar to the common tongue. Common tongue is nothing but like English, okay, which is very similar to English language. So people started looking into languages through which like we can communicate with computer in the same way how we are communicating with one another, how we are communicating with humans. So that's where came up high level language. So this high level language is nothing but it's like here you can say, okay, it's interpretation of English language, and we can use English language to communicate with our computer. So when we talk about like high level language, these are like different programming language, like some of the prominent examples. Like in the earlier days, the languages which came up are like Haskell, Pascal, Fortran, C, Visual Basic, C++, okay, Python. So there are so many high level languages. Okay, there are so many high level languages. So why there is so many high level language? The reason is like somebody came up with a high level language, and the other group didn't find it to be useful. Okay, like one group came up with, suppose you can say Pascal language. A lot of people like people who were doing like web development and all, they saw, okay, with Pascal or with like C, it is very difficult to write our web development code. So that's where they found like PHP, Ruby on Rails. Okay, also Python was initially being created for the same. So like that, scripting languages were created. So these are called as like PHP, Python. These are all scripting languages, which are nothing but these are like scripts. These are actually script files which you can run directly. So these are scripting language. So like that, for everything there were different languages which came up. Like when statisticians saw like statisticians started working with computers, they didn't find this PHP to be that useful. They didn't find like Pascal, Fortran to be useful. So they thought, okay, why not to have our own language? So that's why statisticians developed languages like Lisp language, Prolog language. Okay, R is also there. You might have heard of R language, R programming language. So this all came up for statisticians. So everyone started developing their own language of choice, but all these are nothing but English language. Okay, like if you look at Lisp, it's also written in English. If you look at Prolog, written in English, R written in English, Java, C, any language you see is nothing but these are all English language. So it is just a common tongue through which we can communicate easily with computers. That is your high level language. So we understood what are the different levels of language. We understood there are basically like two levels. One is low level, the other one is high level. If you break it down further, we have in low level we have machine level and assembly level, and in high level we have all these, that is C, Java, PHP, Pascal, Fortran. Okay, all these languages. So now, in high level language, as we discussed, like so many high level languages are there. If you see like Java, .NET, C++, JavaScript, PHP, okay, so many are there. So the purpose behind it is like every language has its own benefit. Okay, like few of the guys didn't find one language to be that much useful for their specific use cases. So that's why they developed their own languages. So right now, till date, you will see a lot of languages being developed every day. Okay, like mostly in a year you will see like 5-10 languages, okay, coming up. So few of them will remain, okay, few of them will not be used that much, but still there is always new languages coming up. But all these languages are very same. The architecture is also to some extent they are same, and these are all written on top of English. So it's just English language. Okay, so any one language, you can easily communicate with computer, and you can easily learn some other language. So it's not like if you learn Python, okay, you will not be able to learn R language, or you will not be able to learn like Swift language. It's not like that. Like mostly they have a common standard, like the pattern which is there within the language is very common. So that's where like people who can learn one language, they can easily learn the other languages. So here, because it is just the English language. Okay, everything is here like whatever language you see here is written in English. So now some of the most popular high level statistical programming languages, okay, which are the most popular statistical programming language, because here in basically in AI or machine learning or data science. So data science is nothing but it is an interdisciplinary area in which we have all these subsets, like AI is also a part of that. Machine learning is also a subset of AI. Then we have deep learning, which is a subset of machine learning. So all these work hand in hand. So that's where like the languages which works here are mostly like statistical programming language. Now there is nothing like you cannot say okay, statistical programming language is something which is different. It's not like that. So these are the languages which can be used to implement statistical concepts. So these are the languages which are there for statistical programming. That is, one is R. Then there is Lisp also, as I told, Lisp programming language. Then Python, Scala, Julia, SAS, MATLAB. So these are all famous statistical programming language. So right now, the one which we are going to use out of this is Python. So Python programming language is was released in 1991, and it was created by Guido van Rossum. So he developed Python around 1991, and Python is an interpreted high level general purpose programming language. Okay, so Python is an interpreted high level general purpose programming language. So now here, what do you mean by interpreted? Okay, so here we are saying interpreted high level programming language. So what do you mean by interpreted high level programming language? So interpreted language is a type of language or programming language for which most of its implementation execute instruction directly and freely without previously compiling a program into machine language instruction. So what happens here, like within the programming language, there is compiler based languages, like you might have seen this one like C, or if you have come across languages like Fortran and all. Okay, so those are like compiler based. So compiler based means you have to first compile it so that it gets converted to some byte code which computers can understand. Then you will run that file. But in Python, you can directly run the code. Okay, so here you can directly execute the script. This is also called a scripting language. Okay, whatever script you have written, you can directly execute the script here. So it is a type of programming language where the implementation, like whatever is there, most of its implementation execute instruction directly. Okay, so it can execute instruction directly. And here the instruction execution is done line by line. In interpreted language, instruction gets executed for each of the line individually. So this is a high level language. Python is also a high level language and general purpose programming language. And like current stable version is like 3.8 as of Feb 2020. It is 3.8 is the stable version which is there in Python. And the one which we will be coming across, like we'll be using, is 3.7. Okay, we'll be using 3.7 or either 3.8. Okay, so any one of these we'll be using. So this is the current version. And like if you look at Python, there are basically two versions. One is called as 2.x, that is 2.7 was the last one in 2.x, and then we have 3.x. So both have a little bit of different architecture. The way they work is a little bit different. The way you write the code is also a little bit different. So 3.x is like more improved version of 2.x. Now like there is no further development in 2.x. The last version for 2.x was 2.7, and now 3.x is something which is used. If you look at some basic difference within 2.x and 3.x, like a lot of things has been improved here from 2 to 3. So like if you take example like in 2.x, suppose we have to write we have to give an instruction to computer saying okay, print me hello world. Okay, now I want to give an instruction to computer saying print me hello world. So in 2.x, what I will do, I will say print, then space, then I will write hello world in quotes. Okay, and I will just execute this code. So I'll just write this code in a file and I will save the file as .py file. So .py is nothing but the extension of Python, and once I run this file, it will just give me the output saying hello world. Okay, so whatever string I have written with the print. So this is 2.x. In 3.x, what they have done, they have changed this to a function. They have changed this to a function. So we use brackets here. So now, like functions are like reusable block of code, and it can take also multiple multiple arguments, and based on that also it can do different tasks. So that's where like here basically they have improved the way we write like commands, the statements. Okay, whatever we do, whatever we write here, a lot of thing has been improved in 3.x. So that's why like we'll be using 3.x, and the one which we will be using in our day-to-day practice, that is 3.7 or 3.8. So now why we are using Python programming language? So one of the most important reason behind it is used among the developers worldwide like a lot. Okay, so most widely used programming language among developers, you can say, is Python. So you can see within the graph. So this graph is for like early 2019. So this has been taken out from Statista. So it's yeah, they do a lot of research into all those things, like which are the trending languages and all. So here you can see like Python is at the fourth. So as a programming language, at the top you have some other things like SQL, which is used for querying data and all, and then HTML, CSS for creating web pages, web templates, and JavaScript is there. But if you look at the languages, like Java is there and Python is there. Like both are mostly, like you can say, 41% in demand. So Python is something which is very easy, and it's one of the easiest language to learn. And the implementation is also very simple. The way you write code is also very easy. Okay, so we'll be looking further into, okay, why we are using Python. So as we saw that it is one of the most demanding language. Okay, it comes within the top 5 languages among programmers, okay, for developing like softwares, for writing softwares, as well as for doing data related study as well. And if you look at, there is something called as PYPL, which stands for Popularity of Programming Language Index. In that, like around May 2020, it was considered to be number one. Okay, Python was considered to be number one. So in the popularity of programming language, so you can see here like rank is one for Python, where like almost, if you look at all the programming languages, the share of Python is almost 31% overall, and it has increased quite a lot. So you can see within this graph, like after 2019, Python started gaining its name as compared to Java. So right now it is one of the most widely growing language, which is consistently being growing from past 15 years. So some of the features for which like we are going to use Python is, it is termed as a better high level language. It is also called as a better high level language. Okay, so now if you look at the other programming languages like Java, C, and all, those are also good languages. They are used for different purpose. In C also you can see like people do research work. You will see like C language, Java language is also used within deep learning. Okay, but the wrapper on top of that is Python. So Python can understand and can work around with other languages, and also it is a better high level language. So what is this better high level language means? Better high level language means it is very similar to English. So the main goal behind high level language was to create a language which is similar to English. Okay, and here if you look at Python, the way you communicate with computer is very similar to English. So I'll just give you an example to understand this specific thing, that is better high level language. Okay, now suppose I have to write a code in Java saying hello world. Okay, so I have to write a code saying hello world in Java. So now to write this, what I have to do, I have to first write a class. So I'll just write it down here. So I'll just write a class. Suppose my class name is hello world. Okay, or I'll just give it as hello. Okay, so I'll write a class. Then I will write public static void main. Okay, so I'll write public static void main, and then I will pass some argument here. Okay, then within this I will write system dot out dot println, then I will write hello world. Okay, within this I will write hello world. Okay, so like this I'll write code. So first I'll write some class, and then I'll write public static void main, then I'll write system out println, then I will write hello world. Then what I will do, I have to compile this file, so I will just compile this file, and I will then run this compiled file, whatever file I have compiled, that file I will run using some binary, that is Java binary, and once I run that, it will give me some output saying hello world. So I'll get output saying hello world. So here, basically, like I have to write like 4 5 lines of code, and the code also what I'm writing just to tell computer, okay, print me hello world. I'm writing public static void main system out println. So this is not how we speak English in real day-to-day scenario, right? Like while speaking with your friend, you will not say public static void main, how are you? Okay, system out println, how are you? So you will not say those. Okay, so rather, so this is not like instructing something, or this is not like computer also. If I want to instruct computer saying, okay, print me hello world. So why do I write so many things? So this is, it's not like this is bad. This is also a way through which you can improve the coding standard. So for which Java is used, like this is with respect to Java, for which the Java is used is very different. It's used for mostly for like system programming and all, and a lot for application programming as well as for other purpose. So it serves a better purpose for a few other things. But right now, like as a AI scientist, AI engineer, or a machine learning engineer, or data scientist, okay, if we start focusing on the syntax, okay, this kind of complex syntax where we have to learn so many things, it becomes difficult to focus on what we are currently doing. So that's where mostly we have to look for language which is easier and which is very similar to English, and which is a better high level language. So now if you look at Python, here in Python, suppose I want to write print hello world, like I want to tell computer print me hello world, I will simply say print me hello world. That's all. I'll simply say print me hello world, and done. So it will just print me hello world. I'll just save this file as .py file. So I'll just write this code in a file and I'll save it, and then it will just give me the output saying hello world. So it is very easy, just single line of code, and I don't have to do external compilation here, and I just run this code and it will just give me the output. So that's where it is also called as better high level language, okay, which is very similar to the way you speak, very similar to the English language. Next one is, it is easy to learn and implement. This is one of the easiest language to learn as well as to implement. Okay, like if you look at Python, like for all specific calculation, we have a function for that. Like suppose you want to add multiple numbers, okay, there is a function called as sum. Just call sum and put multiple numbers, it will just add it up and give you the result. But in other language, you have to write your function, or you have to write a for loop, like 5 3 4 lines of code. Okay, but here, like for all possible things, they have created functions and all, which is very easy to implement and easy to learn. So that's why it is one of the easiest language out there. Then it is a scripting language with OOPS concept. So Python is a scripting language and with OOPS concept. So OOPS concept is nothing but object oriented programming concept. So it is object oriented programming concept. Now this object oriented programming concepts were introduced to make the code much more like readable, maintainable, and reusable. Okay, so for that, basically object oriented programming concepts were introduced. So Python supports object oriented programming concepts, as well as it is a scripting language. So scripting language is nothing but a programming language that is interpreted, meaning it is translated into machine code when the code is run rather than beforehand. So here, like when you are running the code directly, it will keep on like translating to machine level code. Okay, so that it can communicate faster. Next is like platform independent. Python is platform independent, so it can work on any platform. It can work on platform means here mostly like operating system. So if you have written your Python code in suppose Windows operating system, you can easily take it to Mac based operating system, it can work there. Or you can take it to Unix based operating system, any other Unix based like Ubuntu, Fedora, okay, or CentOS. So anywhere you just copy the code, it will work. So it is platform independent, it can work on any platform. It is open source. Python is also open source. Open source means the source code of Python is open to all. So that means like you can modify, you can rewrite, okay, whatever you don't feel like, okay, this is not right, and you want to modify the core code what is there in Python, that also you can do. So once you install Python, all the code will get loaded within your computer. You can just see how Python is written, and you can also try to change it or do anything you want there. And being open source, it is freely available. Okay, so Python is freely available. You don't have to pay any money to use this Python programming language. For few other programming language, if you see, like if you want the enterprise edition, or if you want more features, you have to pay for that particular language. Okay, so here it is not the case. It's like free and open to all. It's open source programming language. And because of this, it has got huge community behind it and vast choice of libraries. So now if you look at machine learning and AI, there are so many libraries. For each specific thing, there are multiple libraries you will see. So a lot of companies are into Python, and all the big companies, like if you see like any bigger companies out there, they also use Python. So for that, you will see more and more improvement within Python. And for AI, you will see so many packages as compared to any other programming language. In Python, you will see so many packages or libraries within this, and so many communities, okay, who are creating new things, and they are putting it up for free use. Okay, so that is where like it has got huge community and vast choice of library as well. Any kind of questions you have, any kind of problem you have in Python, you are finding out like some error, you are facing some error, you want to debug those out. Okay, when you just Google it, you will find all the solutions, all the details with respect to those specific things. So it's used widely, and community is also quite huge. Next is component integration and extensible with other languages. So Python can also be integrated with other languages. So it has this extensibility feature, that is like you can integrate Python with C languages. You can integrate Python with Fortran languages like that. So like basically Python can also understand C libraries. Suppose you have a library written in C. Okay, when you use Python, you can also read the package or library which is written in C. So Python can understand the other languages which is out there like C, Fortran, and all, and you can easily integrate the components from other languages to this language. So these are the basic features, okay, for which we can say Python is a go-to language or language of choice here for AI and machine learning. So we understood it is a better high level language. It is a easier language to learn, the easiest language to learn and implement. Then it is a scripting language with object oriented programming concept. It is platform independent, and it is open source, and it has got huge community and vast choice of libraries, and component integration and extensible with other languages. So now to look at Python applications, Python is used in various areas. It's used for web development, it's used for GUI development, graphical user interfaces. It's used for software development, it is for scientific computing, numerical computing. It's used for rapid prototyping, system administration, database programming, gaming, and all. Okay, so there are a lot of applications, a lot of use cases in all the areas. If you see, Python is a multi-purpose language. You can use this Python for creating websites, for creating like web APIs, web apps, and all. You can use it for software development, you can use it for gaming. Okay, so there are like multiple things you can do here. Also you can use it for data science as well as AI. So now to look at Python versus R. So we'll just discuss about R because in data science, R is also a very good language which is there. It's a very good statistical language out there. So we'll just discuss a little bit of difference between the both. So R is also a very good language as compared to Python. So mostly the objective of R programming language is to do data analysis and statistics. And Python you can use for data analysis and statistics, but you can also use it for deployment and production. So now suppose you have written some code in Python, or you have done some data analysis using Python, okay, you need to deploy it so that others can also use it, okay, or you will be putting it in production for usage. So that also is possible in Python. Then learning curve, if you see, like Python is much linear and smooth, while R is difficult at the beginning, but going ahead it also becomes easier. Code in R is a little bit complex, and the code and syntax in Python is very easy. And speed also, if you see, R is faster than Python after 1,000 iterations, and Python is faster than R within 1,000 iterations. So if you have more iterations, R stands out. AI flexibility in R it is less, and in Python it is more. For AI flexibility is more, so that's where, like, if you look at R, it's much better for statistical programming like EDS, exploratory data analysis, and all. For that it is fine. But when you go for AI and implementing the deep learning concepts and all, Python is something which stands out. Primary users in R are like scholars and R&D, like research and development engineers, and in Python mostly like developers or programmers. Okay, it's used mostly in the industrial sector, and R is mostly like educational sector, okay, in academics and all. Job availability also, if you see, R will be less as compared to Python, because we already saw the most trending language out there is Python, so that's where eventually the job availability also will be higher. So now to look at the ecosystem behind Python. Okay, so what is the Python ecosystem? So here, how do we use Python? Okay, how do we use Python? What are the different ecosystem behind it? So there is something called as core Python. Then we have distributions. Then we have IDEs and frameworks. Then we have third-party libraries. So we need all of this to start using Python. So first we'll be needing a Python programming language, that is the core Python package. Then we will be using some distributions. We can use some IDEs or frameworks, or we can use some third-party libraries also on top of that. Now here, what is core Python? Core Python is nothing but that is the basic Python module. Okay, so those are like that is a package in which you will find various modules. Okay, like various code. Okay, within that package through which we can initialize our Python programming. We can initiate programming code. We can write some code. So for that we need to first install Python. So this is called as core Python. So it is limited to basic functionality of Python, and some standard modules will be available. So these modules are nothing but these are Python files, like mathematics module, okay, which you can use to do maths. So like that, some basic operations, basic things will be there. Other packages need to be installed explicitly. So if you need any other thing, like suppose you need to plot graphs and all, you will be needing a explicit package. So you have to include an explicit package. So that is called as third-party library. So this is core Python. So when you install Python, by default you will get core Python. So now to install Python, you can look into python.org, that is the site, and from that you can install the Python version of your choice. Next is Python ecosystem. Now Python ecosystem, there is something called as distribution. Now this distributions are nothing but this comes with major packages pre-installed. Okay, so for all kind of activity, like suppose you are doing data related activity, like you are working around with AI, machine learning. So there is a distribution called as Anaconda. Okay, so Anaconda. So like that, for other things also there are distribution like Pocket Python, in Thoughts Canopy, Active Python. So like that, there are various distributions. So these distributions are nothing but when you install Python using a distribution, what will happen is it will also install few packages. Okay, like few packages which you will be needing for your purpose. Okay, for your use case. Suppose you need data science or AI related thing. Okay, you need all the packages, like most of the important packages, to be pre-installed. When you install Python, then you can go with Anaconda. Okay, so Anaconda is the most famous one, which is used for this AI, machine learning and all. So we can go with Anaconda. So for installing Python from Anaconda, we'll be having a session on that. We'll see, okay, how to install how to install this distribution Anaconda within the computer. That also will be having a session on the same. Or if you want to install only core Python, in core Python you can directly install by going to python.org. So you can just look into this site called as python.org. So when you go to python.org, you will find download option will be there, and from that you can directly install Python. It will just install the core package, in which it will have the limited packages which is already there in Python. But when you want all the other packages to be pre-installed, you can go with distribution. Otherwise, in the core package, you have to install the other packages explicitly. Then next is IDE and framework. IDEs are nothing but these are called as integrated development environment, and framework is a collection of modules or packages which will help you in writing your web applications or your data related applications or AI applications. So for that there are different frameworks. So framework is a collection of modules and packages. It is just a collection of modules or packages. And so like if you look at framework, there are various frameworks like Django is there, and Flask is there, Bottle is there, so many are there. So while working on frameworks in Python, we don't have to worry about the low level details such as protocol, socket, thread management. All this can be taken care easily by using the framework. And if you look at IDE, IDEs are something which we use to develop the code, to write our code, to write software. So IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So an IDE is a software application that provides comprehensive facilities to computer programmers for software development. So using IDE, we can write our code. So like when you are installing core Python also, you need a IDE. If you are installing Python by using distribution, then also you need IDE. So these IDEs are a way through which we can write our code. So there are various IDEs like IDLE is there, PyCharm is there, Spider, Jupyter Notebooks. Okay, there are many IDEs as such like Sublime Text, Atom, Visual Studio. So a lot of IDEs are there. So you can take any IDE, you can use any IDE. Within our class, like we'll be using Jupyter Notebooks or Spider. Also, like you can also use PyCharm. Okay, so these are different IDEs which are there. Now, looking at third-party libraries, there are like more than 220,000 plus libraries. Okay, in Python, and this is being given as per PYPI. And like if you look for each of the different operation, we have different libraries. Suppose you want to plot a graph, we have graphical libraries, and many graphical libraries are there. Suppose you want to do some mathematical computation, like you want to implement calculus, you want to implement linear algebra, so there are different libraries for the same. So like that, for each specific task, for machine learning, for deep learning also, we have various libraries, or you can also call it as packages. So libraries are used to implement various tasks in Python. So Python provides many tools for develop or release library. So you can also write your own library, you can also release it. As it is open source and having huge community, there are many libraries which are there. So now this is what we understood about the Python ecosystem. We understood that we can install Python directly by going to python.org and installing the core Python. We can also install Python by using a distribution like Anaconda, ActivePython and all. And then we looked into IDEs and frameworks. We understood the difference between them. So like framework is basically nothing but a collection of modules or packages which will help you out to write your code, and IDEs are the softwares or applications through which we can write our code. Okay, through which we can write our code. Other one is like third-party libraries. Third-party libraries are these are various packages which are out there, which are used for implementing various tasks. Then we will look into Python installation. Okay, so now we'll look into Python installation. So there are three basic ways of Python installation. One is direct Python, other one is distribution, the other one is cloud based. Now direct Python is nothing but you can go to python.org and downloads, and you can install Python directly from Python website. And for installing other packages which you will be needing here, like we'll be needing a lot of packages here. Okay, like to take some few names within our AI, machine learning and all, and data science, we'll be needing NumPy, we'll be needing pandas. Okay, we'll be needing a Cborn, we'll be needing Matplotlib. So like that, many packages are there. So now to install each of these, we have to install it using a package manager, that is pip. So we can explicitly install all these packages by using this package manager. Like I will say pip install numpy. I will run it within my command prompt. Once Python is installed, then it will install me numpy. So like that, there will be a lot of packages which will be needing to install when we install direct Python. The other way is like using a distribution. In distribution, what will happen? I don't have to install direct Python. Once I install distribution, it will install me all the required packages. Like if you look at a distribution, that is Anaconda. So Anaconda is made for large scale data pre-processing, data analysis, predictive analytics, and scientific computing. So this is a package in which they are already supporting all the libraries and all the like you will see pre-installed packages here, like NumPy, Pandas, SciPy, Jupyter Notebooks. Okay, Jupyter Notebook is nothing but an IDE. Spider is an IDE. So it also gives you IDs. It will also give you the third-party library. So everything will be pre-installed. So it will also install Python with the same. So we'll be using Anaconda. We'll be looking at how to install this. So this is the most popular distribution for data science, as well as you can say machine learning and all. The other one is cloud based. Okay, in cloud based installation, you don't have to install anything actually here. You just have to register to a service and you can use the cloud resources. Okay, so now here, like if you see here, we don't have installation, so no installation required and simple to use. Needs internet connectivity to use this cloud based like Python IDEs or Python platform. We need internet and some of the famous cloud-based services are like Google Collaboratory. So there is something called as collab.research.google.com. So if you go here, they provide notebooks. Okay, like we have something called as Jupyter Notebook. So notebook is nothing but an IDE. So it's an IDE using which you can write some code. So here like Google Colab or Microsoft Azure notebooks, these are all notebooks like where you can write your Python code and you can execute the code in their server. That is like if you are using Google Colab, your code will be executed in Google server. So it will here, like suppose you have your processor is not good. Okay, you have a computer which is slow, which is not having higher processing power. You can use Google server for free of cost. So they give to some extent it is free. After that it is paid, but most of the thing is almost free in Google Colab. So you can also use Colab or Microsoft Azure notebooks and all, and these are like cloud-based platforms. So these are the three platforms. One is cloud-based, one is distribution, and one is direct. So to run offline, we'll be using distribution, and if you want to run online also your code, you can use cloud-based platform. Okay, so this is all about introduction to Python, and we just understood the different ways through which we can install Python and all. We understood the different things, that is libraries. Okay, there are various libraries in Python, and we also saw few of the libraries which are important, which we'll be using here. And like going ahead, like we'll be discussing more into how to install this Python. Then we will see how to start programming and the basic elements or the basic constructs which are there within Python. Okay, so this is all about today's session. Thank you.